most of the people you see that have moved out of their parents' house at a very young age are miserable. They are not financially independent. They are working paycheck to paycheck, and they are honestly regretting their decision. I know a lot of you guys have zero desire to live with your parents any longer than you have to, and the moment you graduate from high school, you kind of start thinking about moving out, what it would be like to be in a dorm setting, or just not to be under your parents' roof anymore. But not everybody goes to college. And the people that don't go to college, unfortunately, your parents aren't going to pay for another place for you to stay. There's one thing if you're going out to a university that's out of state where you have to have a place to stay. So then your parents are more willing to help you with housing options because they understand you're going to get an education. But what if you don't take the college route? What if you choose not to go at all and you're just staying with your parents? First thing your parents are going to do is make you get a job because they are scared that you will not make anything of your life and you will just become a bum. So they tell you to go get a job. They finally convince you and you start applying, but you can't really get too many offers, and the offers you do get don't pay that well. And that is because you don't have a higher education. You don't have anything more than a high school diploma. You're not that competitive in the job market right now. So you take a minimum wage job at, let's say, some retail store. Your first week goes by and you like it. You make friends with all the different coworkers in your department, understand what you need to do on a daily basis, and you kind of get into a nice routine. You form a social group within the department that you're in, and you guys start hanging out. But, a couple more weeks pass by, and your parents don't like how you keep coming home late and how you're not helping out with the chores like you used to. And, you think you're doing the right thing by getting a job and becoming financially independent. And you kind of just get sick of your parents. You don't like them nagging you all the time, and, you should get more respect. And you believe you deserve more respect because you're working now and they should help you more out. And, you just can't find common ground. And you know what? You think it's best for you to move out. So you start looking for places, apartments that, might be the best spot for you. And you end up finding one. And you just move in a few weeks later. You don't ask your parents necessarily what they think about the place. You just find something that's best for you and something you think you can afford, and you just go on and make the decision. And once you get there, you realize that it's a lot more decisions that you had to really consider before moving in. You have to pay for furniture, you have to pay for bills, you have to pay for the expenses. Things you didn't really take into consideration before you left. You thought you were making a lot more money before because you were staying under your parents' roof. You didn't have bills to pay. You always had food in your stomach. Now what? You are honestly kind of stuck. You're working all the hours in the week simply to have enough money at the end of the month to cover your expenses and bills. You don't have money to go out. You don't have money to meet other people. You can't just enjoy yourself anymore. A lot of people will be in this situation, and it's so crazy how they think that they're independent. This is not independence. This is you just being an idiot. You're financially irresponsible. There's a huge difference. You cannot live off minimum wage. It's not how it works. In majority of the states, the state income tax is maybe 20%. And it depends on where you live, obviously. Some places it's more, some places there isn't at all. But just the fact that you can live off such a low amount of money is not feasible. You're not going to live a quality life, even if you somehow find a way. If you're working 70 hours a week at a minimum wage paying job, that's not going to be the best life that you could ultimately live. What you should do is move out responsibly. Move out when you have enough money and you're able to actually afford things without giving up necessities or other aspects of your life that you aren't willing to. And you also need to leave with the blessing of your parents. I don't understand how your parents I don't think you guys realize how hard it was to raise you. Your parents made so many different sacrifices just to get you to the position you are in today. And for you to leave from their arms, from their household, without the blessings of them, without leaving on a good, positive note, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Why would you turn your back on them like that? Understand how much benefit it would have been to leave with them on a good term and have them kind of help you with the moving out process. They could have helped you find the best possible deal. They could have helped you with locations, any sort of amenities that would be beneficial for you to have. You chose to not use them, and you chose to just cut ties with them like an idiot. Do not do this. Instead, go house hunting with them. Go apartment shopping with them. Understand how they were in this position maybe 15 years ago, and they somehow found the best place to move into and ultimately had a family. The only reason you really should be moving outside your parents' house is to make more money or to have a family and you want to raise your family in a new house. Other than that, there's really no reason to move out. I know it looks cool to say you're independent, but what does that even mean? What does that even give you? What benefits do you get from this? You have your own house, you have your own apartment, and most of the time, a lot of people will move out to really high desirable locations, and as a result, the rent is crazy. And their apartments are super small. It's almost like you're living in a box. Why didn't you just stay with your parents? You could have been saving money. You guys will save so much money not having to pay rent that you can actually use and towards putting on your dream house or your dream car or whatever things you actually want, instead of settling for something you can solemnly afford right now. Instead, stack up your money for as many years as you have to, so you can get to a point where you can actually buy what you want, not just what is available. That's so stupid. I currently still live with my parents, and I plan on moving out when I'm making at least 45-ish an hour, and I have at least 20 or 30K saved in the bank, just in case of any sort of emergency funding that you aren't really prepared for, but it's good to have just in case of an emergency. And without this fund, a lot of people will suffer, and a lot of people that move out and don't have this extra amount of cash just on hand, it's just going to be difficult when situations happen. You know, there's stuff in life that we never want to plan for, but we ultimately have to just in case. You know, you really hope that there's never a medical emergency, but at the same time, you never know. There's been crazy stuff that happened to my friends and to my loved ones that I know could have only been solved if money was there. I know that if we didn't have money in that situation, then we wouldn't have had the result that we wanted to. And you guys have to also go in with this just cautious mindset. Moving out should be a gradual process that takes a few months. You shouldn't just find the first apartment you see and move out. Like, doesn't that just sound bizarre? You just want to leave your parents like that? What did your parents have to do to you for you to want to have that? And most of the time, it's not even the parents that are mean to you. It's just you having a high ego and wanting to move out and have your own place, a place to call your own. And that's cool. That's really cool. But you have to understand when the right time is for that. By you making $13, $14 an hour, 15 maybe, what are you going to buy? And you have to also understand that the apartment you do buy, or the place that you do end up staying, it should be with roommates. But if it's not, there's really no way for you to get out of this situation, because if you signed a year lease and you're breaking basically even every month because you're paying for rent and other expenses, and you're not making any real, and you're not saving any real money from your job, you're never going to become financially more stable. You're not going to have more money in your bank account in a few years. You're going to continue the same process. You're going to just be breaking even and not have any room to grow. And why would you want to limit yourself like that? You can do so much better by simply sucking up your ego, staying at home, and just learning to get along with your parents. You should move out for work. If you have to relocate for work, that's one thing. If you're starting a family, that's one thing. But just to have your own place, especially if it's in really close proximity to your parents, like, that just blows my mind. I've had friends that move out of their parents' house to a spot that's like 5 minutes away in a super small apartment, and they're just bored. They're just there to say that, oh, I don't live with my parents anymore, so I'm independent. Woohoo. Like, all you're doing is making the landlord happy and whoever owns that building that you're renting from happy. Make yourself happy by making yourself some money, save it, and buy appropriately. Buy with the advice of your parents or anybody else that you know that's financially literate. having people on your side would just ultimately have you result in the best possible outcomes. Do not try to do everything by yourself. Do not try to force this independency lifestyle, because I've seen guys go broke, stay broke, and live broke because they wanted to be independent and prove to social media or their haters or whoever, their parents even, that they were capable of doing so. If you're capable of being an idiot and you want to be an idiot, move out as soon as possible. But the smartest thing you could do is live with your parents until you actually need to move out. Understand, before you leave, you have to really visualize and have some sort of concept of why you are moving out. What benefits is it going to bring to your life, and is it going to be worth it in the short term and in the long term? You must go through these 3 things first before you even consider leaving the house. And once you do have that assumption made on those 3 topics, I want you to think about it for a little bit. Give it a few months, maybe even a year. It's better to leave with the best possible game plan than to rush into a decision like this.